We live?
I had to send a donation in.
That probably went out.
No
Well,
worries.
Yeah, nice. We can talk about that on that.
anyway, so, hour being 6 PM, I'd like to call to order the City of Laconia City Council budget meeting of May 20th, 2024. Before we go any further, though, I'd ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're joined this evening by our recording secretary, Katie Gargano. I'd ask her to please call the roll.
Counselor Cheney,
Here?
Counselor Susie,
Here.
Counselor Hoffman,
Present?
Counselor Haynes,
Here.
Counselor Bogert,
Here.
Counselor Felch,
Here.
Mayor Hosmer.
Here. Agenda item number 6A, Department Budget Presentation. We'd like to start off this evening with the Laconia Public Library and Deanne Hunter, the Library Director. If you could step right up and join us, love to.
Mr. Mayor, Director Hunter is about to walk you through three aspects of her presentation tonight. Just to give you sort of the lay of the land, she's going to talk about accomplishments, about the capital budget, and about the operational budget. So we're excited. It's been a quick year, and Deanne's really enthusiastic about talking to you about it.
Terrific, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilors. It was a year ago that I stood before you doing my first budget presentation, and I talked at great length about the repairs needed at the Gale Memorial Library. And I'm happy to report that the library has contracted with Bonnet Page and Stone, and they were able to help us not only define the project scope, but also help us prioritize the actual projects that need to be done so that we can make a plan going forward as funding becomes available. We can schedule the projects based on cost and with keeping in mind the priority of the work that needs to be done. I think I'm maybe most excited to report that a few of our other accomplishments and highlights include the circulation of physical books. And I did a comparison for calendar year 2023 and compared that with print circulation from 2019, so pre-COVID. And I am very excited to report that yes, people still read books. You know, you hear all the time, people don't read anymore. Well, they absolutely do. And in fact, they are reading more now than they were, at least according to our patrons in our community. So that is very exciting. And interestingly enough, the library used to offer one book club, one monthly book club, and we are up to 4. And they are all very successful and very well attended. So yes, people still read books. And the next thing I'd like to mention is equally as exciting to me, and that is the number of library visits has really exploded. As of April 30th, library visits totaled 100,514. Library visits for all of fiscal year 25 totaled 75,767 visits. So this is an increase of over 32%.
Could you say those numbers one more time, please?
Yes. So as of April 30th, library visits totaled 100,514. Library visits for all of fiscal year 23 totaled 75,767.
Thank you.
So, and this is with 2 months remaining in the fiscal year. And we've had over 22,000 visits to our children's room this fiscal year, which we're also very excited to report. Another shocker for some people is that you'll see our Laconia teens read over 1,000 hours for our last summer reading program. And this is historically, and this is not just Laconia Public Library, but I think libraries in general really struggle with reaching this particular population. And the fact that they too are reading really says a lot. I think that's a wonderful thing. The library hosted an exhibit curated by a Laconia High School student as part of her senior project. It was very well received, and I'm not sure if any of you had a chance to stop in and check it out. I think it will be there just through maybe the end of this week. And it's a great exhibit. A lot of artifacts from the library's historical collections as well as from the Laconia High School, and she did a great job. The topic is basically it's celebrating 100 years in the Laconia High School in its current location. So it's a really neat history of the Laconia High School. Other exhibits we've done this year include, we had a fiber artist by the name of Carol Dale. Some of her work has actually been submitted to and displayed in the Smithsonian. It's really incredible. We've had photography by Gregory Craig, and last summer we did a 100th anniversary of Motorcycle Week. Future exhibits include astrophotography by Ed Ting, Lakes Region Art Association, and we are going to coordinate an exhibit of student artwork from the middle school and high school. So that's all coming up in the future. And as an aside, I just thought I'd point this out. Not many people realize that the library's artifacts are actually stored on Water Street and are in the care of the Laconia Historical and Museum Society in their building. So I just thought I'd point that out. We gave away over 2,000 pairs of Eclipse glasses distributed through the community through courtesy of StarNet. And I tell you, this was quite an experience for us at the library. Monday morning, the day of the eclipse, in less than 2 hours, we distributed over 700 pairs. The phone rang off the hook and the line was literally out the door. And then later that day, we had a viewing program in the library garden, and it was a really neat experience. All ages were there, and it was really, it felt a bit like we were just experiencing history together, and it was just a really cool afternoon in the library garden. As of April 30th, the library has made 135 deliveries to homebound patrons. These are definitely some of our most vulnerable folks in the community, and without this service, they wouldn't have access to physical library materials. So I think it's a really wonderful service, and people are very grateful. And then the last thing I thought that I would point out was that we hosted over 130 programs for adults. The most popular programs being performances by Powerhouse Theater, the New Hampshire Ukulelees, the Canterbury Singers, and Clandestine Jazz Collective. So we found there's been a bit of a switch. People are looking a little less for some of our typical lecture series that we have done in the past, and are really appreciative and enjoying some of the more entertaining avenues at the library. So, all right, so we're gonna move on to the building projects slated for fiscal year '25. You'll notice the budget in front of you. The Library Board of Trustees, we really work to reduce as many accounts as possible, knowing that we would need to divert as much funding as possible into some of our significant building repairs. So every single account with an FY25 decrease was at the recommendation of the Board of Trustees, except for the decrease in books. Building projects will be scheduled as funding becomes available. And Bonnet Page & Stone has been secured as the library's construction management firm. So we're happy to work with them on this project. They were selected after an RFQ process. They have years of experience in the building trades and much experience with historic preservation projects as well. And I'm sure many of you already know they were actually the firm that did our major renovation project in 2005. So they're incredibly knowledgeable about the library already, and we're looking forward to working with them. Included, I did send over their worksheet that lists all of the building projects we have on the horizon. They have prioritized them in order of need, and there are cost summaries provided as well. I'm sure you have a lot of questions regarding the building projects. Before we dig in, I thought maybe I'd run through the rest of the operating budget, and then we can just circle back if that works.
Dan, would you, I think the operating budget, I mean, looks pretty, pretty straightforward to the extent that, based on what the department requested, what the manager is suggesting. I mean, there are a couple things on this. I mean, it looks like you're saving some money on lights and power. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes.
On line 202, but, which I think is great. One issue is line 481 under maintenance building. So it looks like under 2425 department request was 225. It looks like the number next to it from the manager is 25,000. And there's a delta of 39.6, which I don't understand that. Is that supposed to be 250,000?
No,
Do you want to speak to that,
yes,
Kirk?
If
Help me
I may.
understand that.
Yeah, the 39.6 is the difference between the 23-24 budget and my recommendation, not the 225.
Gotcha.
That the 225 was in there, we considered this in a couple of different places within the budget. One was here, which we ended up removing, obviously, as you see. One was in capital. And the third option, which I chose to go to late, was recommending a bonding the full project as opposed to a partial. And that was partially for two reasons. One is to get them everything they need at once. But the second part was to lower what we're spending this year out of capital and bonding it moving forward.
Okay, got it. That makes perfect sense to me. And the other question I would have, if you could talk about 257 books.
I agree with you, yeah.
Just, if you maybe just talk us through that. I don't care who does it, but just
That
looking
was
for some,
mine.
just
I mean,
looking for some
I mean,
discrepancies.
you heard her make the comment of we did all of them, but except that one. I was making some cuts in certain different places in each budget, and that was just a place where I chose to make some cuts out of this one. So that
Okay.
was why that's why it is what it is.
It's a possibility to put that money back in and figure out another $8,000 to figure into your bonding proposal somewhere along the line? I mean, it just seems,
I don't know where we would bond on it, but we could.
no, but just take that at cost associated with it, and I don't know where you would either, but anyway, it just seems like,
We would have to just find some, if we're gonna keep the budget as is, we can, not to steal Scott Myers' comment, but, for every dollar we put back in, we'll just figure out a way to take it out somewhere else, and we can certainly work on that if that's something the council chooses to wanna do.
just simply a question,
Yep.
that's all. Obviously, there are a lot of different facets to the operations of the library. I get it, and a lot of different mediums that share the same information, just seems like books should be the priority, just like books, picture books.
Thank you.
I'm not good with the words, but I like pictures.
As do we.
No, go right ahead, I'm sorry
Okay.
to throw you off
No,
your
thank you.
presentation there.
So the first account I really wanted to draw attention to is the maintenance software account. You'll notice that the FY24, the current budget is $1,000. That is not a very good, that's not exactly accurate. The
Can you give me
board-
the line number on that? I'm so sorry,
Yes,
Deanne.
Maintenance software.
Okay,
And-
235?
235-0002.
Got it, okay, go ahead.
So, the board actually amended that line this fiscal year to accommodate what we really needed to have happen. So our current working budget within the library is $3,700. And this budget, the $3,700, includes Pharonics. This is a major component of library security for all of our public computers. And also, in addition to security, it includes a time management feature to allow the public to log on to the computers. In addition to that, it includes funding for Past Perfect. Past Perfect is the database that hosts Lakes Region History Online, which is the database patrons can access from home. And it includes a lot of great photographs and artifacts that are important to Laconia history. And then the last thing included in that particular budget line is Constant Contact, which is the library's e-newsletter software. So in fiscal year '25, we are looking for an additional $2,000 to be used for a firewall software licensing renewal. We were fortunate enough to receive the fire department's used but still very good firewall, which was a big upgrade to the library's firewall. But with that, we now have some licensing renewals that will be coming due. So that will allow us to renew the license. And then the additional funds for fiscal year '25 would be used towards Microsoft licensing. So that's why there is such a dramatic increase.
Is your question towards that, on that?
Yes.
Would you accept a question on this
Okay,
topic?
and this goes to both you and, Mr. Smith, remember you were talking about a software upgrade for Cycle for all that and everything else, put bond together to cover all the software for cybersecurity and those other reasons, right?
That's correct,
Would
yep.
some of this fall into that?
This could certainly be added to that bond. If the bond is, we're calling it a technology upgrades,
Right.
and there's a lot of different items in there that could be this could be folded into that.
So I wonder if it's a small dollar amount, you bond that, but you don't spend. Maybe
don't
maybe I
spend-
pick it up on the books.
Right, and then what I'm looking at is that some of the software costs, some of the software might be cybersecurity related
Yes.
and things like that. And I know that's what's one of our targets with that bond you're putting together, right?
Yep.
And that's where I was going.
It's one of the targets, and I'll say the library has a kind of a unique challenge in that the whole point of the library system is to let people dial into it. You know, as opposed to finance, where we can set a very clear wall, you know, so it's good to see these developments taking place in the budget, because that's a very needed area in our overall cybersecurity.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's eye-opening to think about.
We
Absolutely.
might
Thank
find
you.
our $8,000 in there.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, one of the things that I've noticed when I talk with people on the street about library computer security is that everyone is in the habit of thinking about antivirus and protecting the network and so forth. But to Mr. Smith's point, one of the things that we encourage people to do is to come to the library to check their email, to check their bank accounts, whether they're vacationing or they're there because their computer at home has stopped working or because they don't have a home, whatever those reasons are, that protecting their data is a big part of the security. So to your point, it is a little unique, and we do take that privacy. So one of those line items' job is to actually reset the computer as if it's a fresh, clean image at the end of each 1 hour block of usage time. So thank you for understanding that, the
Yeah.
uniqueness of that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. That we don't often think of that, but you wonder how do you. Anyway, thank you very much, man. That's very helpful.
All right, so the next account I'd like to draw attention to is the maintenance equipment line, which is the 233. You'll notice that has a very large increase there as well. Currently, it's at $9,300, and the library has asked for $14,100. So currently, our copy machines cost us $4,900 per year. We have annual security system contracts, and we have annual inspections that include the fire system, the sprinkler system, and the fire extinguishers. This current fiscal year, we will expend over $10,000. Fiscal year '25 is going to require an additional inspection, which is a 20-year sprinkler head test. The library had this sprinkler head test done back in 2005. 20 years ago, it cost us $1,500. So my estimate, Kirk may know better, I was thinking it might cost us around $3,000 to have the 20-year sprinkler head test done. And then the other increase we're asking for that particular line is for the annual fire monitoring costs, which will be new to us. This is $350 per year per location, so we're looking at the Gale Memorial Library as well as the Goss Reading Room. And this new cost is brought about by the elimination of the master firebox monitoring system. And this is brought about by a request from the fire department. So that is why there's a fairly significant increase there. Moving ahead, the maintenance HVAC, which is 2350004. Currently, we have $12,000 budgeted, though that was another line that the Board of Trustees amended this fiscal year. We have, our HVAC system is now 20 years old, and frankly, it just requires more maintenance. There are more issues, and the increase there is really just to support the maintenance needed by a 20-year-old system. Two more accounts I'd like to point out. The non-print media, this is a fun one. We are requesting a fairly significant increase there, and that is account number 259. So non-print media, it actually includes some physical holdings, such as audiobooks, DVDs, music, though that is really slowing down. The bulk of it really is digital materials. So digital materials, we have quite a few offerings. We have downloadable audiobooks, we have ebooks, we have movies, we have TV shows, music. All of the digital resources are available through two different services, one being Libby and one being Hoopla. And though the physical non-print circulation is slowing down dramatically, mostly due to, you can't even buy a car these days with a CD player. Music, people tend to stream their music. Even with all of that in mind, the circulation of non-print materials in fiscal year 24 is projected to increase 6.9% over FY 23, and that is even with the decrease in physical holdings. So it's just, people can't get enough. Though I will say that our DVD collection actually is holding strong. People really do utilize our DVD collection, and I think it's mostly due to the expense of some of the streaming services and the quality of internet needed to use the streaming services at home. And lastly, the program budget. You'll notice we've decreased this 15.5%. And really, this is the library's attempt to try to maximize our budget and work within the increase we were given, excluding the building maintenance line. We hope to supplement our program offerings with the library's general fund account, specifically for our exhibits and our passes to area attractions. So though it's showing less out of the municipal budget, we hope to keep it pretty much the same while taking advantage of the library's general fund to help with that.
Thank you very much. This is really very, very, very helpful. Go back to just a couple of things that have crossed my mind. Excuse me. What are your circulation numbers? You said they went up from 19 to 23. Do you have those offhand?
I have them only for physical books, but
Okay.
I certainly can get back to
No,
you.
just physical books is good. You
Yep.
have-
So for 2019, physical circulation of books. Oh, you know what? I only included the percentage, didn't I?
I didn't hear the percentage. You just said it went up significantly. I didn't hear the percentage.
Yeah, the
That's-
percentage was 3.8% for physical
Increase,
books.
okay.
Increase.
You don't have to get any more information than that. What are your 4 book clubs?
So we have a long-standing mystery book club, which is our most popular book club. We have a nonfiction book club, and we have a fantastic fiction book club. And then we have one that we host at Taylor Community, which is very popular as well. So some of folks actually attend all of them. Some just attend their favorite, and we try to change things up quite a bit and reach as many people as possible. And if needed, we can get the books in large print or audio if someone really struggles with reading the small print. And they're actually probably some of our more popular programs. People love book clubs.
So when you do the one at the Taylor Community, does someone from the library go up to lead the discussion?
Yes.
And how do you get, say, does the library stock the number of books necessary for the people in the club?
Great question. So we actually utilize interlibrary loan to obtain the extra copies so that we don't have to purchase them just for the one-time use. So we borrow them. We borrow them from other libraries.
In regards to the copy machines,
Yes.
is there, it would seem to me you may not have, I don't know, does the library itself have a lot of need to copy stuff or is it the public from the outside going in using the copy machine and you charge them per page?
It's actually both. So we do have 2 photocopiers. We have one upstairs in the workroom. We used to outsource the printing of our physical newsletter, for example, and we're now doing all of that in-house, and we're seeing a cost savings from that. And we do an awful lot of publicity, so we really take advantage of that. And then we have a public copier in the main lobby near our computers that patrons can use. It's for them specifically.
Okay, that's great information.
Yes, and we do charge, it's 10 cents per page for a black and white and 25 cents for a color copy.
Now on to the tough questions for me. Anyway, I know you have experienced some challenges with our unhoused population and their use of the library and not always the best behaved. Can you give us sort of an update as to what's going on, and is it getting better, is it worse? Is there something that we should be aware of that we can be, try to find ways to be more supportive as you fulfill your mission, but sometimes maybe get derailed because of other things going on in the community?
This winter was a significant improvement over the prior winter that we had in relating to specifically behavioral problems. At the very end of winter last year, we installed locks on our public restrooms, and it greatly deterred some of the unwanted behavioral problems that we were having. It's now one person at a time in the bathroom, and they actually obtain the key from the front desk. We kind of keep track of how long folks have been in there, and we have seen a huge benefit with, it can be a little tiresome to, monitor the bathrooms, but it was absolutely worth it, and it's made a big difference. We certainly have a lot of folks still coming in and using the library, but we don't struggle. It was nowhere near the winter that we had before.
I'm glad to hear that and realize those challenges were pretty significant and, second of all, and it's not really a question as it is just a follow-up to a discussion Mr. Moriarty and I had some time ago, and that is the use of the Colonial Theater, the library's use of it. And I'm not sure this has been addressed sufficiently, but I think it needs to be, and I'm wondering your follow-up thoughts on it, Mr. Moriarty, and maybe some suggestions as we approach a new contract within the next couple of years for a theater operator. I think that theater operator, along with the city, probably have an obligation to do a little bit better than we have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have been communicating with Spectacle and sort of trying to get a better understanding of what their expectations were, because I'm not sure that they were aware of some of the fundamental agreements that superseded the actual leasing of the theaters. So I think there's an opportunity for some education and understanding, whether it's that operator or a different operator moving forward. We have, I think you and I have communicated on a couple of occasions trying to book some rather interesting events. One of the ones that seemed to get a lot of interest from the community was Charles Dickens' grandson wanting to do a one-act play of A Christmas Carol as a program at the library, and we could not quite come to an agreement as to whether the theater was available or not. And I think that's an interesting sort of barometer as to, that should have been, in our mind, an easy, well, yes, of course. Having said that, there's a glimmer of hope, and that with a significant amount of communication, we do have, coming up in just a couple of weeks, our annual summer reading kickoff that will be held at the Colonial Theater. So that's the second time in in the years that the theater has been open, that we've actually been given a green light to have a program there. It's not the second time that we've asked to have a program there, so I'll let you do the arithmetic. We'd love to see that improved. Probably don't want to talk about the rest of that and waste everyone's time in a public meeting, but we'd be happy to converse with you and provide some more detail and help create that level of understanding that we think would be helpful for everyone.
And I think we in the city would like to participate in those discussions, so we can use the theater so we can have better use of the theater for library endeavors. It is important, and I think quite often when you look to the strength of any community, just look at their public library system and take a look at it, and I think that's a good barometer for a community as well. So thank you for the work that you do, and the board of directors, trustees does. I'm not in there nearly as much as I'd like to be, but I know it's a pretty darn good library, and I like visiting there. I know my kids do as well.
We have a great group of people, city council, of course, included, and I don't need to say enough good about our staff. As you've seen firsthand, they do a crackerjack job. We're grateful. Thank you for your support, everybody.
Any questions from the council right now for our library? Seeing none, thank you very much. Nice to see you both.
Thank you.
Anybody need a break for a water before we move on to the next presentation? Under item number 6B is a budget presentation from our Parks and Recreation Department. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you both.
Always a pleasure. Okay.
We should, for our viewing public, we have the thousands that are watching tonight.
Oh,
why don't
I'm
you just
sure
introduce
it's-
yourself.
Breaking the internet. Amy Lovisic, Director of Recreation Facilities. Matt Manser, Assistant Director. Thank you for having us. All right, so we'll just get right into it if you don't mind putting the screen on. Thank you very much, Katie.
I gotta find the right page. Let me see,
Okay,
where
so we
at
are
here?
on page
74.
73.
Thank you.
So we're gonna give you the overall view of what Parks and Rec looks like. Okay, so we have a new counselor, so I get to give you a little bit more background. And some of you, it might be helpful for as well, but this is also in your packet, so it's not anything surprising. Sometimes we look at this list of things that we do and we're a little surprised that it can't really be true.
Would you
it's-
believe, Amy, we can't
You
read that?
can't read that?
No, we
One, it's
can't.
small and it fades out at the very top.
Okay, well, I'll just
We're
tell you
supposed
what
to
it
have
says
this
if
in
I
our
can read
packet.
it.
It's not
I didn't
here,
see it.
unless
No,
there's an
It's
addendum that was.
it's on the page that tells you about us. It's just after us, after the, so it's page 75.
It doesn't look like.
It doesn't look
Oh,
like this
okay.
book.
what we have
It's,
here.
it's
like
it's
a-
That's
words
okay, you
into a
just walk
box.
us through, we'll be good, we can
Okay.
adapt.
I will do that for you.
We wanted
Um,
to put everything out there so it had like a geographic feel to it almost.
And then it just backfired, so sorry. So basically, we maintain 20 parks year-round. We mow approximately just over 1 million square feet weekly. We have 15 athletic fields. We have 13 athletic courts, 18 city buildings, which includes City Hall, Police Department, Fire Departments, libraries, community centers, et cetera. And then it also includes park houses, concession stands, bathhouses. That's where we get the number 18 from. 9 baseball, softball diamonds, 9 playgrounds, 9 cemeteries, 5 beaches, 18 irrigation systems, 23 restrooms. It just goes on and on. So I just wanted to give you just a small, quick background as to what our department looks like, just so you can understand us a little bit better. So I'd like to go over some wins that we had this year at the department. So one is the Bond Beach Bathhouse and septic system are in the process. Will be done by June, and he's clearly happy to be there. He smiled. I didn't ask him to. He enjoys building walls, apparently. God love him. So that's in the works. It's not pretty right now, but it will be. Our building maintenance, you all approved an employee last year that started in October. That person is responsible for all of our facilities at this point. That is about 159,000 square feet of facilities. He has done some deferred maintenance that I gave you the list last year that was quite long. With that being said, we printed out the same sheet, and we've got some that have clearly been checked off the list. Our person's name is Jim. If you haven't met him yet, he's fabulous. He's very knowledgeable in his job. He's kind of one of those jack of all trades, which is important for us with all the facilities we have. But he has already, since November 15th, which was his first day of work, he has already done 359 work orders.
Wow.
Yep, so he's a busy man. And looking downstairs, I'm sure this is one of the first things you see when you walk into the building. It looks much better. It was on our list, on our deferred maintenance list for the, it was the bulletin board that we wanted to kind of make that look better. And Kirk had mentioned that he'd like to see that spruced up a little bit, so we took the work order and we spruced it up, and it looks much better over there. Levitt Park revitalization. You've heard me speak about this in the past. We did get the energy efficient lights in there installed. The flooring is also installed. The gazebo plans have gone out to bid at this point, and we are waiting to hear back on those. And the playground itself is going in the last week of May. So that's good news. And the actual walking path will be pretty much the last thing, so we can hit all of the pieces that matter. Weirs Beach carry in, carry out, we really didn't think it was gonna work. We were proven wrong. This is what it used to look like when we did not have it, and now it looks like this. It's a world of difference. It's a huge win for our department. We don't have the unsightly trash. We do have some that we have to pick up, but not nearly as much. We still keep the dumpster so that when someone comes into the facility, we say, we're carry in, carry out. Do you need a bag? If you can't carry it out, we have a dumpster available for you, and they literally either take it with them or they're happy to throw it in the dumpster, and we've had almost zero complaints about it. So much so that the feedback we are getting is extremely positive. We're having families come back. It's clearly a family vacation that they've booked a resort or an Airbnb or of some sort, and they're there all week long, and they come to the beach all week long. We have more people coming Monday through Friday than we have in the past.
Amy, that picture alone is such a nice marketing piece that you have up right now. I mean, look at it, right? I mean,
It's gorgeous.
right? It really is. And I remember this being sort of a topic of intense discussion a few years ago
It
about
was.
what's going on there. So this is really great news. So
Yep.
nice work on your part and your department's part.
It's amazing. And again, credit to Counselor Hamel who gave us the idea, and I was going to be the first to say no way, and I did. And then we tried it, and I wish I had done it before. So yay to him.
I
I
can
do.
hear him chuckling right now.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, told you, Aim. Also happy to tell you that because of the carry in, carry out, we have staff returning. We have beach caretakers who want to come back. I think we have
4 out of 6.
4 out of 6 who are coming back.
Yeah.
And 2 of them got real jobs. They're no longer the kids in school. They got real jobs. So because they don't have to pick up all this trash, they want to come back. So it's wonderful. It's definitely a win for us. Memorial tennis / pickleball courts are in and resurfaced and repainted. This was a picture that was sent to us by one of our pickleballers / tennis players, showing me that all of the courts are being used currently. They're all the way in the far back where the wall is that you hit against. But you can see in the far distance there are 2 nets on each side of the courts, and so there technically are 7 courts being used right there. So there's 4 courts that are being used for pickleball and 3 courts that are being used for tennis right there. So it's working.
Used to be a ghost town out there.
I'm aware. I'm aware.
There's nothing quite as sad in seeing sports courts and playing fields grown over and not used and broken down. I mean, it just sort of reflects on the community, and it's great to see that.
And the pickleball community is over the top. They're so happy.
But
Yeah,
that's
we're
wonderful.
seeing, we're feeding more of the demand, right? So now we're starting to see more newbies come in and we're seeing more newbies come in who have a place to play and a place to learn, whereas in the past, they'd play and people would be getting upset with them for using court time, right? So it's pretty exciting.
Also, as far as pickleball goes, we mentioned it to you last year that we were going to be looking and doing this. We have taken a couple of days out of the week and made it Laconia resident only. So some days anyone is welcome, some days Laconia only. It's actually a big hit, and we get the same amount of people both days. So it was really quite the success. And hopefully none of you got a complaint, so that would be even better. Sports Key is our brand new software that we have signed up. It's basically our calendar and what you use if you want to use our facility. You go on to the Sports Key and you fill out the form that has you requesting one of our facilities, whether it be a beach, a picnic area, a ball field, that type of a thing. We're very new at this, and it's getting interesting because last year in May, we had 8 people who were looking for a facility use request. This May, for tomorrow's meeting, we have 20. So we have a lot of people who are coming out just asking to use it for a picnic area. We won't be, and this is for Levitt Park mostly, that they came for that. We will probably not be accepting picnics for cooking and things at Weirs Beach, just so you're aware, because cooking was the problem that we had there, and we don't want to start that back up. But I just wanted to let you know we are going crazy with this, and good news. O-Pee-Chee Day Camp, we are at this point 10% higher in our registrations than we were at this point last year. Good news, and it's surprising the amount of feedback we are getting recently, and parents coming in after they were here last year, they come in this year and they want to pay in full because they know their kids are going to have a good time. They're thrilled with the product we had to offer. 4 out of the 5 counselors are coming back this year. We have one that he just hired, I think today, maybe hired. And I think we're gonna have a fantastic group, so yay on O-Pee-Chee Day Camp. Those are our wins for this year. Down the road, potential upgrades. The water supply upgrade that we will need at Robbie Mills. So Robbie Mills, I know that we are in the works for water coming up that road. I saw that, Mark. The 911 building potentially, or the development that we get potentially. Once those come up, because I don't want to put good money into bad, once those come up, I'll have a water access. Whereas right now I have 2 wells, one for our concession stand / bathrooms, and one for our irrigation. And the irrigation we keep in the water towers across the street. So we pump it up on our side, we pump it all the way over there to accumulate some, and then we pump it back in order to get it, and we don't get a ton. The concession stand with the restrooms, we don't have enough water to maintain the bathrooms as they are. So if two people were to use the bathroom at the same time and hit the levers at the same time, our system goes down. So we have brought up portable toilets and opened the bathrooms, but locking some, right? So we only have a couple of them available to people on the outside. So I'm not asking for money for this. I don't want to put good money at a well if we're going to have something coming in the future. So that's just down the road. But the other parts of this was just part of our CIP, and that was pretty easy. So talking about the budget, this is on page 77 of your book. This is the building budgets. I mentioned to you earlier about our deferred maintenance. The parts that are highlighted there, and it's the building maintenance lines on each one of the buildings, has gone up. And it is because of the deferred maintenance, now that we have somebody who's here 40 hours a week doing actual maintenance, doing stair treads, doing paint, changing out light fixtures. Do you need doing all these things, it costs money to do them. So that's the building side. That's just City Hall, Community Center, and Police Department part of the building. The other building is over here. We have building maintenance that has gone up as well on page 74. Building maintenance has gone up for the exact same reason, but these are more for the concession stands that we have, the restrooms that we own, the dugouts that we own, that type of a thing. So that is in there. Another increase is outside contracts. We did just increase this last year. However, the restroom cleaning basically ate up almost all of that because it was more expensive than we thought. This year,
At which, at all,
just the outside contract. Oh, nope, I'm on page 74 now. Sorry,
you go forward, you go back,
I do.
you lose me.
I
Okay,
like to
sorry.
keep you on your toes. Sorry. The outside contracts,
Got it. 479, 304.
yes. 304. I can't see it. I believe you. So outside contracts has gone up in order to do those extra areas that we discussed last year. I was not able to do that because I didn't have it in the budget due to the amount that it costs to clean the bathrooms. And my crew would much rather mow the extra areas in the cemeteries than clean the bathrooms.
So where are the bathrooms at, and walk us through that just a bit.
Absolutely, thank you. We're talking all of the beaches, so Weirs Beach, Bartlett Beach, Bond Beach, the two at Opeechee. We also have the day camp, Weirs Community Park, and Levitt Park.
So are we talking vandalism or are we just talking
We're just talking cleaning,
just cleaning?
just cleaning.
It's not like somebody destroying something.
Yeah.
It's somebody leaving terrible messes. And those messes are, that's what's killing our employees' morale when they're doing the bathrooms. That's what's killing the morale of the outside contract when they're doing the bathrooms. Last year, the contractor was reaching out to us saying, this is absolutely disgusting.
Do we have a lot of sick people using them, or what, is it in the water, or what's going on there?
A lot of toilets getting clogged, a lot of,
On purpose, not on accident.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is this
It's on purpose.
That's vandalism, right? I mean, if you're clogging it intentionally, that's vandalism.
I mean, up at Weirs Beach also, I think people are having a great time and then racing to the bathroom and maybe something's clogged up and they're still gonna go anyway, right? Like there's just some gnarly scenes.
So when things like that happen, that sounds like they're the result of vandalism. Is this information passed along to the PD? I would ask that you consider doing that, just in, and I'll look to Bruce and Councilor Cheney on this too. Sometimes if you start to see a trend emerge at one of these places, that you can maybe do a little proactive policing, knowing that maybe you've got some vandalism going on in a certain area of town, it's nice to let the PD know, so maybe they can just put it on a hot spot for them to swing by every once in a while. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Bruce, you're far more familiar with this.
Well, I'll certainly be happy to sit with the chief and ask for some additional support.
If something emerges that, you
just-
know.
Like many things in law enforcement, sometimes just seeing them there. Speak, you know, if they just walk in once or twice a day,
Absolutely.
We would love
prob-
that.
yeah.
We see that all the time at Weir's Beach, when a cop is walking or they even park their car,
Yep.
everyone's taking care of themselves.
They're on their best behavior.
Yeah, I don't understand the fascination with clogging up a toilet intentionally. You know, I don't-
Sounds like kind of a
Nor do we.
S detail. He got it.
So the last part that we increased in our operating budget is equipment. And this is to put it on the books rather than a CIP situation. And just have this on a regular where we are changing out aged equipment for new equipment, because sometimes it's fiscally irresponsible of us to try and fix something that really should not be fixed.
Well, I take a look at your, going back to 21, 22, I don't know what the items were. 63,531 was the line item number there. I mean,
I think that was an accident. To be completely honest, that might have been a CIP item that was put into that rather than
okay.
the CIP. Because we certainly have not overspent by that much.
Well, I was wondering if what it was, yeah, right. So, anyway, okay.
So those
Good.
are, those are the increases that we are looking for our budget. And we of course asked for more, and we were asked to cut back, and we know that you guys are looking at, your goal is retention and gaining people's attention to come to the city, and we have the same goal. I mean, why wouldn't we, right? Retention is a word that's getting thrown around quite a bit, and for us, it's quite difficult to find someone who can do the things that we do. You can see here, there's a long list here of things that we do, and that's a normal day. These people that we hire have to be able to do almost all of these things, not just a handful, but almost all of them. They don't have to have exactly all of them, but they have to have at least 3/4 of it in order to do the job. So you can imagine how difficult it would be if I had to lose somebody who had all this because I couldn't keep them for salary reasons or whatever it might be. So we have the same goal as you. So we are looking to do our part in that. I like how this is stated, and I just wanted it out there. It's just better for us. We are very much a seasonal operation. So each season, this employee is learning something new. Every season, this employee has to learn a different function for our job. So it literally takes an entire year for us to onboard somebody. So that's a lot of trainings, a lot of time spent, a lot of money going into that to just lose them due to one reason or another. So we're with you on the retaining people. And then just going over our CIP requests. Obviously, we had quite a long list.
It's not in here, right?
It is on page 12.
Towards the beginning.
I'm going back again.
Trying to lose me.
Yeah, keeping you on your toes. So we are looking at a complete key renovation for our park system. Let's take Memorial Park, for instance. Memorial Park has 4 garage doors and a regular door in the storage, so that's 5 keys. Then you have the bathrooms, concession, and a storage, that's another 4 keys. Then you have the same thing over at the softball field, and then you have the park house, and then you have all of the master locks. So you can imagine that's just Memorial So we have a number of keys that have to be replaced. People lose their keys. We don't get them back sometimes. They duplicate their keys, even though it says do not duplicate. The new key system that we're looking to get is not duplicatable, if that's the right way to say that. And we are going to have a new process, still working on how that will look. But we're gonna have a new process on how the keys go out. It might be that you have to give a deposit of how much it's going to cost me to rekey that entire system. And I'll give it back to you once you hand me back the key. It could be something as drastic as that. I don't know another way of getting our keys back. So that's the keys. Another one is the Levitt Park, Wyatt Park, and Tardif Park basketball court resurfacing, as well as Tardif Park getting new basketball hoops. Tardif Park is in dire need of new basketball hoops. They are a little ghetto. They are plywood, painted plywood, and it very much needs it. The courts, if they're not done, they will only get worse, and it'll cost more money to get them fixed. So it's time to do that as well. As well as Tardif Park is in need of a sewer line repair. We found out last year, right after they paved, that we have the system, or the pipe itself going from the park house to the main sewer line is failing. So we need to replace that line. In addition to this, in the ISF, you have, it's recommended that we get a 2x4 truck. The truck is to give us an additional truck. It's not replacing anything. It's an additional truck
Are you
because
talking
we
about a
have
two-wheel drive truck?
two-wheel, yeah.
Got it, okay.
Only because it's not for plowing. If you don't want us to have a 2x4 truck, I don't mind, but it's not going to be for, I think it's $40,000, or 30. But this is an additional truck, not replacing any current truck because of the new employees that we have now.
So you need another truck for new employees?
Correct.
And that's going over to,
I don't know where the ISF is. Do you know where the
Internal
ISF?
service funds, right? It's on next-
13, right next page over.
right here. Page 13.
You'll see at the end, that's where we put all of our vehicles that we're purchasing throughout the city.
what page was that?
13.
Did you have any more questions on the CIP?
You know, and, no.
I got a
You know, there's one thing I take a look at on number, item number 14. It is not a high priority. In fact, it's your lowest priority, which is the Green Monster demo and fence replacement at Robbie Mills baseball field. I would take a look at something like that, and I would think that, you know, with the trades education going on at Hewitt, that where's the opportunity there to utilize the labor that you might have there with a project that someone in the trades could make part of their portfolio upon graduation and point to something really tangible, like they do with the tiny house that they build, where it would cost you as a department material cost, but utilize the labor that's available. And again, I know it's not the highest priority for your department or necessarily for the city, but it seems like it'd be a great opportunity to have a project that our students could look at, draw up, and ultimately construct, and maybe save some money. Just throwing it out there as a thought.
That is something of interest. What we looked at was tearing it down and putting up a fence. And the fence has to be super high, just like that wall is, because if not, it's home run derby over there.
Nobody wants a fence, they want the Green Monster.
Well,
You know,
they
I mean,
the
if
Green
you want the Green Monster there, and I think that is so appropriate for that field. Anyway, I would encourage you to continue to look for opportunities to partner with some of our.
I will
like our
absolutely.
Hewitt, to consider what could we do there that really drops that price considerably and gives us something really cool out there like a Green Monster. And just a thought, not a highest of priorities, but, I'm sorry, go right ahead, Counselor Susie.
I got a question, Amy, and maybe the city manager can probably help. When I look at Parks and Recs, I think it's great. I mean, but I wonder about the revenue that you get. Where does it show up in the budget?
That's not an Amy question.
Is it in there?
And then
Page
secondly,
46 and 47.
Page 46 and 47?
So that's where the revenues are. You'll see on page 46, about 2/3 of the way down. We have some reimbursements
Oh,
from
yeah.
Parks and Rec, and close
Mr.
to the bottom of the page, account number 013600580012.
okay, I see 4790001. It's got $10,000. That's for lights.
No, you're off a little bit there.
When we get into accounting system, all the Parks and Rec is gonna be together, just so you know.
Okay.
Great.
Well, I guess where I'm coming from is that my next question, excuse me, Mr.
Oh, yeah,
Mayor.
of course.
Talk about the Green Monster, and I think it's awesome to leave there, okay, get the kids to do it or something. But I understand Plymouth State's gonna use that as their home field, right?
Just this year because they had damage to theirs during the flood.
Okay. Are they paying for any of that?
Oh, they paid, yes.
How much are they paying?
I think they paid $1,000 for their 5 games, and then they paid the light bill, which was $2,000.
Okay, so they pay the light bill, and what I was getting at, Mr. Mayor, is that monies like that we collect here and there, if there's a way we could put that aside and do exactly what you're talking about. Okay? That Robbie Mills field, every time I talk to anybody in the state, especially in the baseball field or that world, you might say, that this is the best there is.
I'll agree.
The best, and everybody wants to do it here. I know people have said to me, who do we talk to, because we like to have our tournaments there and this and that, okay? And so when you talk about, and you say, you don't get enough water so the bathrooms don't work, and all this kind of other stuff, that, I think we should pay attention to. So thank
I
you.
agree. And just so you know, when we get those monies, you're not going to see them in your traditional budget book, only because they are in what's called a user fee account. And that user fee, any monies non-resident kids and adults who play at our fields, we get either $10 for the youth or $20 for adults.
It's not in here anywhere. It's a slush fund.
Well, no, I
It's
think it
for-
shows up.
It's for replacing bleachers, if I had a set of bleachers that needed to be replaced. It's for field amendments, it's for, things like this.
Kirk, Kirk,
yeah.
that shows up, does it not? We see, on a monthly basis, you give us that report. It's part of our monthly
The user
report.
fees account.
We have user fees that show up, don't we?
No. No, we see how much they use, but not dollar figures attached to it.
And it's not in here, is it?
Oh,
No, it's not here because it's not appropriated by as part of the annual budget process. It's almost like a special revenue fund, and the one I'm thinking of, the fees collected for the Opeachy Day Park program have to be used for the day park program, so it's a real self-sufficient kind of money comes in, money goes out, and those are managed by the department and by the Parks Commission.
Correct.
and audited, like all our other finances.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not
Yeah,
worried about the
okay,
auditing.
yeah, not that
I'm trying to find money that you can use to
Yeah.
rebuild it or something. And then I have one last question, Mr. Mayor. Where are we, and I know this is gonna be a subject that's gonna be a little sensitive, on Pumpkin Fest?
Pumpkin Fest is coming downtown. I assume you knew that? Did
Yeah.
we all
no,
know this?
you-
I'm not telling a secret, am I?
Oh, you know,
Okay.
some of us are more,
Well, the secret was that it was moved to the Weirs. So
right.
that's-
I'll agree with that. I was a little surprised myself. So yeah, downtown. Did you have a question on it?
no, I just wanna make sure you're on board.
I am on board fully.
Amy's been working either originally with part of the committee, but now with me, and she's been on board with this as we've been moving along. To go back to one of your other questions, if I may, Mr. Mayor, about the parks fees, one of the things we've been working on since I took this job, and we're still working on it, we're trying to get the lights to cost less to use. So when people want to come in and do tournaments, and they have to be turned on during peak time, that it's not this crazy amount of money that they can't afford. We're not the only community dealing with this. It's statewide. I've dealt with a bunch of other managers, and I just sent Amy some information a couple weeks ago, so we're trying to make this much more user-friendly, and it's not us, it's the way it is but we're trying to find options.
So have we pursued it in that same line, and I was just pointing it out to Counselor Hoffman, you know, we look at our light bill for City Hall, Police Station, Community Center, and those numbers are pretty sizable.
Yeah.
Have we at all considered alternative sources of power, either from solar, primarily from solar on the roofs there to generate our own?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is with the electrical aggregate committee that we formed that's working on the, if we're gonna get an alternative funding,
yeah.
you know,
Where I was going.
Counselor Hoffman has asked, well, why don't we expand that into an energy committee? And it hasn't been brought forward to the council yet, but it's going to be, to look at exactly these
Yeah,
things.
so it just seems to me, we have an awful lot of rooftops throughout the city
Yep.
that the idea that we should be generating our own, particularly with infrastructure money that's out there and available right now. And that way, what we are paying at Robbie Mills, maybe it's not feasible to have a solar array there, but what we are paying, you know, it's from savings from our other buildings.
Yes.
So that impact isn't as
Yep.
significant.
Yeah, the longer answer to my no answer is, it's in its infancy stages, I'm working on it, but we are looking at putting that together, and looking at what our alternatives can be.
Okay, thank you. Council Chin.
I apologize, I was gonna ask, what happened to the solar field in the Weirs?
I'm on the old dump.
It was on the dump, it's on the capped landfill.
Yep.
Where are we
It's
on
being
that?
built now.
It is now, okay.
And they're supposed to provide us.
I'd have to go back and take a look at the agreement. I think that that was discussed, that somehow we would be able to bleed some power off on that. I don't know where.
I wasn't part of forming the contract, so I only know a little bit of it, but it's not gonna be any money back is gonna be very, very limited.
I
It's
didn't
it's not
think
very
it-
big, yeah,
I didn't think it was money back. I
Yeah.
thought it was they were gonna provide us with power.
I'll pull out the contract and take
Yeah.
a look at it, and I'll be honest, I haven't studied it a whole lot, because I wasn't part of it, but I'll be glad to,
There was something in there for the city.
Yeah.
And it was actually different for each building as well. I know the library had to do a separate contract, and so, yeah, there is something in there. I
Yeah,
forget what it is.
I think we ought to have the manager.
I'll
Take a
open
look
it
at
up and take a look
Yeah.
at it.
Sorry.
But they are up there building it.
Yes.
Amy, you talked about Robbie Mills, you got troubles with water.
Yes,
You pump it, there's a tower there, right?
yes.
You pump into that tower, how big is that tower?
Oh, I have no idea.
No idea? Is that tower sits pretty empty, is that that's what you're trying to tell me?
Our irrigation is doing much better than our concession stand, building.
And where
So
does
we
the
have two
water
different wells.
Right.
The concession building is the one that's having the trouble with the pressure,
Where does that water come from?
right in one of the wells, right
One of the
on our
wells, not the
property.
tower.
No, right on our property. The stuff that's in the tower is also from our property. It's getting drilled from a different location on the property, getting pumped over to that storage facility, we'll call it, the tower. It accumulates, so we can be constantly pulling water and store it. So when we spray the irrigation, we have
So it's not a
Bandwidth.
shortage of water you're having?
in the concession, it is a
I
shortage.
understand, it comes from a well that's really not supplying enough money,
Not enough water,
Right.
correct. And it's
You can't
700
connect-
feet down.
You cannot connect
700
down-
feet down, it's
It
not
is.
getting enough water to run a bathroom?
It's that high.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's high,
Ah,
yeah.
goodness.
We're at the tippity
Think
top.
about
Is there
turn
any
away.
storage for
Think
that
about
well?
turn away.
There's no storage. We should,
That's-
that, I mean, and
Oh,
that
there's
is
no-
that is a
No
short-term,
pressurized tank, no storage. I mean, that
nothing.
should have been put in right away. That's,
So the only reason I was asking is that line that comes from the tank to your irrigation, let's say, has less pressure. There's no way you can take the tank, the line that you have for concession stands and those other bathrooms, you might say, and connect it to that original one?
We wouldn't want to do that only because we have just enough water to actually spray a field a night. So each field is only getting it once every other night rather than every night.
So
if
you're not
it's-
getting enough water even from your,
Right, but we make do, and it's not lacking in
the only
any.
reason I ask is that from the water department, we're starting to, say, sell tankers of water, because there's been nobody in the area, and they're going to Manchester to get tankers, okay? So we're working with a lot of the tank companies that come up and get water, and they bring them to places like Turn-Away, okay? For example, they want water, that's what they're doing lately, okay? And it's only like $300 for a full load, full truckload, and that's on normal rates. That's what I was just thinking out loud, that's all.
Okay.
Because you don't want the bathrooms to go, that's one way you got to turn off anybody coming to visit, can't go to the bathroom.
Right, absolutely.
Of course, it's too.
Yep.
Council Bo, yeah.
Going back to the truck,
Yes.
since we use a lot of trucks and stuff, why wouldn't we buy one that's able to be doing some plowing? Cause you're already almost there, and if we have a truck go down, then we always have another truck to help fill in so that we don't short cycle ourselves.
I understand it, and Counselor Haynes has mentioned that also. If that's the will of the council, I'm okay with that 100%. The reason we chose the two-wheel drive was because we do have 2 4x4s that have plow options on them. And so we do have the 2 trucks available to us, and we don't have a lot of areas that we plow. We're more the sidewalks than plowing.
But if DPW has an issue, then we would have a truck, because when the city needs plow, I don't care what department it comes from, it just needs plowing.
If you want to alter that number to make it a 4x4 with a plow, I'm fine with that.
That's gonna increase, you're gonna go up close to 60,000
Yeah,
on
that's
that, and the
gonna-
problem with that is your plow trucks get beat down and devalued and break down. I mean, your cost to operate on a daily
And
basis
again,
goes up.
if that's the will of the council, I'm okay with the 4x4, if that's what you'd like.
No? Mayor, I've got a couple of questions. Lifeguards, wasn't mentioned. Can we discuss that?
We can. We have lifeguards, I believe you have 2 out of the 3?
Yeah, we got 2.
We have 2 out of the 3 that are coming back from last year.
Great.
We are looking for one. We do only guard Bond Beach at the moment, and even finding that third is proving difficult. It's a national thing. I've told you this for years now. We're not unique in trying to find lifeguards. If we looked at Weirs Beach to try and guard there, the national standard, even though they won't give you one for a beach itself, they'll give you one for a pool, and it's 1 per 25 people in the water. I don't know about you, but I can't afford all those lifeguards.
So,
And I can't imagine having
okay, so
hundreds.
we don't have the capabilities of having any swim lessons?
Not necessarily. If we can find the person that comes in for Bond Beach, I would love to have swim lessons back. It would be huge for me. I think it's important, being the city on the lakes, that we teach our kids how to swim. If our last lifeguard, or even the ones that are coming back, would like to be WSI, because you have to be 16 to be a lifeguard, but 17 to be a WSI, which is water safety instructor. So if they're coming back, they're obviously 17 and could potentially be trained as a water safety instructor.
Okay.
I agree with you, I'd love to have it.
Mayor, can, in the salary account where it says temporary,
Yes, that's our seasonals.
yeah, that's a sizable jump from 23 to 25, it's still, well, ballparking, it's about $40,000
Wait, what?
temporary.
It's at 130, which is what it was last year.
No, it's 479, 103.
What page are you on?
Right here,
74?
22, 23, 23, 24.
It's 130.
It's 130?
Yeah, it was unchanged this year.
Yeah, it goes from 90 to 130.
Right, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but it's,
Why 23 to
but it stayed at 130.
We increased the wage that we provide. We pay $15 an hour in order to attract anyone to come and work for us. I mean, McDonald's is 16. Taylor Home is 16, and we're falling behind at 15. So that was for us getting $15 an hour for all of our staff, and that would have been full staff.
So that includes maintenance,
That includes maintenance.
beach people, the
Yep.
whole work.
Lifeguards. It does not include the camp because, as Glenn had mentioned, the camp is self-sufficient.
Okay, all right. Programs, do we have any programs during the summer months for kids that are not in the day camp?
Traditionally, we've put on a peanut carnival for kids.
It's a one-day thing?
It's a one-day thing.
Okay.
We've done tennis lessons. There is tennis lessons that are free. However, we are not putting them on. We used to partner with them, but they don't need us anymore. They outgrew us, which is fine by me. So Advantage Kids puts on free tennis lessons. I would love to get swim lessons back in. What type of programs would you like to see? I
Anything.
would love what
There used to be,
we've spoken.
if you had a park, Sandburn Park, Memorial Park, doesn't make any difference. There was activities at that particular park during the day, or maybe just the morning, that nobody paid for, but it was there.
Yep.
And that's why I'm wondering, so if, if you're not in the daycare program, there's really nothing that Parks and Recreation is supplying for our kids during the summer that can't afford the day camp.
Program-wise, that is accurate, other than we're providing the facilities.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that
that's-
supporting those nonprofits that are utilizing facilities is one of our bigger goals.
But that was done, I believe they ended that in the early 90s.
Number of years ago, yeah.
In the early 90s, they stopped doing that because it turned out, what he's referring to is that kids from the neighborhood, if you were from the Tardif Park neighborhood, you walked to Tardif Park and there were people there to watch you, and your mom and dad just sent you along and off you go, and who knows where you ended up. But you could have made it to Tardif Park and had a good time, but there was no, real
Regulation.
supervisory regulation.
A lot of that was done by organizations like Levitt Park Community Club.
Boys and Girls Club.
And Boys and Girls Club did it, but Tardif Park, Opeechee, we used to have our own organizations, like we do still at Levitt Park, that used to handle all that.
Yep, and they would hire teenagers to watch the kids during the day, whoever showed up. It just makes us a little bit more nervous nowadays with the just showing up situation.
I understand. Mayor, just one more. There's 28 other areas you listed as mowed weekly, and then you list that increased maintenance cost. Are we at the point where, at some point, instead of replacing some of this equipment, I mean, I understand you got Levitt, you got Memorial, you need big turf equipment, but some of these little islands and stuff like that, does that really beg the question that we really need to have a mowing program and have outside contractors that go by there doing that instead of our people, unload a lawnmower to do the area near Opeechee Park?
I agree with you, and that's what the outside contract increase is for.
Okay, so that just doesn't include
It's
janitorial?
it includes both.
Okay. How much, though? A lot?
How much does,
many
it would be
client-
all the cemeteries,
Yeah.
and it would be probably 5 or 6 of those small little areas that you wouldn't know are ours.
Okay. All right.
But, Amy, they are, as you know, they are so critical to the appearance of our city. These areas particularly when we have visitors come in and, when it's trimmed and it's neat and it's maintained, it looks top notch, right? And when it's not, it looks ragtag.
Yep, I agree.
And I appreciate the efforts you've put in because we've struggled a few years ago with trying to keep up on some of these items. So
Certainly
I
did.
think it's improved significantly, and it's nice to see it. Creates that first impression when somebody rolls into the city, and, right, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, right? So
agree
thank you for
wholeheartedly.
that work, and encourage you to keep it up as much as you can. It's so important.
I give all the kudos to my staff, but I will relay that to them. So thank you.
One last question, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I know that on either CIP or within the budget, you got the downtown trees, keep those up, in the phase 1, phase 2, and it doesn't look like it ranked any funding,
Correct.
okay? What's gonna happen?
Nothing. This was just additional trees that need to go up. Nothing's gonna happen to these trees.
Okay.
Health of those trees is how are they doing?
I have one that has since passed. It's close to the Laconia Bakery. It's in that section there, but that's the only one that has,
Will it be replaced or has it been replaced?
it will need to be replaced. It has not been replaced yet.
Was there a point, a few years ago, we talked about flowers on Main Street, right, on the posts. And one reason it was put off is because there was a plan to do a lot of work on Main Street underground. Are you familiar with that? And they were talked about bringing water, we were talking about how do you keep these,
Irrigate
like
it,
Franklin
yes.
does. Franklin has these most spectacular flower baskets on Main Street, and we thought, why don't we do this down here? Somebody said, well, wait, because it needs so much water that when we peel back the pavement on Main Street, we can run those lines.
Yep.
Trickle, right?
Weirs Beach has them on the boardwalk.
Yeah, exactly, right. So downtown would be fantastic, but is there
I don't know
any
where that
plans?
would even stand. Yeah, I'd have to look back
Yeah.
and see, yeah.
It was a couple years ago. Krista Larson mentioned it to us.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
So, we don't know where it is.
No, I can take a look. I don't think it's anywhere. I don't think it's anywhere.
I don't think it's anywhere either. I haven't seen it anywhere, but anyway, that would be.
So lastly, I'd just like to cordially invite you for a tour to come see what we are all about. I can get the van going. We can take 3 of you,
Tonight?
Anytime, anytime. But, I mean, if it's during the day, it's during the day. If it's in the evening, that's fine. If it's on a weekend, I'm happy to just take
I'm
you
in.
to show you what we do.
I'm in.
Awesome. So,
Midnight.
midnight, well,
You gonna be
not
awake?
gonna see much.
I'm not seeing much. The back
That's
of my
right,
eyelids,
parks
that's
close at
it.
10, sir.
I mean, thank you to you and.
Thank you very much.
Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow.
I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 7:22 PM.